What's up guys, welcome back to the channel. I'm Justin Davis and today I have a new review for you. A new iFlight Alpha is in the house. This is the A65. We had last week on the channel the A85 HD version with full-blown DJI and all that gear on there. If you want to go DJI version or you want to go the analog version, I think they make two versions of this one, but this one is sub $100 with an XM Plus on here. It is mounted in the very bottom. We have an F4 Sussex flight controller with 5 amp ESCs running out to some 0802 motors, and those are 22,000 kV. So they're super hopped up on the high end of the throttle, but still giving you about a 2.5 minute to a 3 minute flight time. If you are new and you're just cruising along, flying in stability mode, you might even be able to get a little bit more time out of this quad. Now, the wind tolerance of this one would probably be up to about 10 to 12 miles per hour outside. Then you're really gonna start feeling it. Start feeling like a hurricane. The canopy itself looks to be extremely tough. I don't think you're gonna break this canopy because this little guy is super light, sub 50 gram little quad with a 1S battery. The batteries aren't included on this, so that's kind of a bummer, but 1S 300 milliamp battery is what I'm using. This is my battery of choice right here. I like the Beta FPV batteries. You can also try out some G&Bs, and I'll put some links down below to some 1S batteries for the new guys. We also have HQ, actually really good looking little HQ 31 millimeter props on this as well, with around a 1 millimeter shaft. So we'll make sure we get the right link down below for prop orders. I have my XM Plus antennas coming out the top right here, my dipole in the back, and we're pumping up to 50 milliwatt on this little guy. So 65 millimeter whoop with 50 milliwatt VTX on there. That's actually pretty good because a lot of times on these smaller ones, we get a 25 milliwatt and that's it, we're stuck to it. Then we have to upgrade to something like an AKK Nano or something like that. But on the bottom, we also have plug and play motors as well for the new guys. If you blow out one of these motors, not a big deal because you have a little plug on the bottom and you just plug in a new motor and off you go. So that's kind of nice. We have USB access on the very bottom of the quad as well for Betaflight. You have full-blown Betaflight on here, full-blown OSD, and also signal link quality, which is nice. You'll see that warning at the bottom of the screen when we do the flight test. So let's go ahead and charge up some batteries. I'm going to use my 6-in-1 eSheen charger right here. This does HV batteries and it supports regular LiPo. It has a display and you can power it off a 3S2200 with the XT60 link right here, or you can power it with a 4S1300. So most of us have 4S1300s laying around, and this is nice because if you want to charge up those BT 2.0 connectors on the Beta FPV batteries, you can do that as well. So either or, PH 2.0 is what this little guy comes with, and it will charge all of those. So 6 up, you can fly this little quad and keep the batteries coming, and you can pretty much keep flying all day long. Now let's go ahead outside. Let's do a flight test with this and I'll come back in and I'll give you my final opinion on the A65. Here we go guys, let's do it. Okay, let's go ahead and do the flight test with the A65. Let's get it up in the air and we're gonna start out with some just general flying in stability mode. If you're a beginner, this is the mode you can start out with and you can really learn how to fly FPV with an A65. Honestly, I kind of wish there had been a quad like this 5 years ago that came out that was such high-end components on something so small. We had a lot of issues with quality control 6 years ago with tiny whoops. We had stuff burning out all the time. We were using brushed motors, which also would burn up much quicker than something like a brushless motor. So now we have way more power with the 0802 motors. They're pretty wild. If you want to do some sort of minimal freestyle, you can kind of do that. Practice this quad as an acro trainer. But where I think the most fun flying something this size, around 65 millimeter, is just finding those fast and straight lines around your property, kind of getting to know the area that you're flying in. And the more you fly your area, the faster you'll be able to take these lines. And sometimes you have stuff reach out and grab you like those little leaves, but right here I'm able to make some really tight proximity, kind of bouncing around there on the curb, which is totally okay because this thing is so light you're probably not going to break the frame. Now we're going to do the around the house test, and right about halfway was where I just totally lost it, and there was no recovery there. I had to go in the back of the house and get it, but once I got it back out, I was back on that same battery, and we're just going to fly this one until, until the very end of this battery. And right now I'm looking at 2.5 minutes to 3 minutes flight time if I'm really pushing my batteries. So you guys are going to be flying, not doing quite as crazy stuff as I'm doing right here, but it had a decent range on it. The XM Plus never fail-safed for the receiver. And right now I'm flying an Acro, and look at the difference in the speed. I mean, we're really able to get some serious speed out of this little 65 millimeter whoop. And again, this is nice because it's so quiet that your neighbors don't even really notice that you're flying it. Guy was working across the street in his yard, and he never even turned his head. Now I'm back in stability mode, but we're going to try a flip in Acro. Now that is not stability mode, but look how fast the roll rate is. And check that out. Boom, that's really fast. So when it comes back around too, no, almost an over rotation, but again, I have tons of control with this quad, and the tune feels really good on here. So it feels like the team at iFlight really worked on the tune to get you guys something that would fly good outdoors. And sometimes they fly great indoors, and then you take it outside with a little bit of wind, and they fly terrible. So I don't have any problems with the tune on here. If you have a really bad tune, you'll notice that your quad just keeps washing out. And what I mean by wash out, it's like the quad's going to tumble and do a lot of tumbling. So I only got the quad to tumble one time during all of that. So now let's go indoors, and let's try a little bit of indoor flying with it. And we'll just see what kind of quick lines I can get going here with this quad. And the biggest thing about indoors, a lot of time I just try to have fun with it and slow it down a little bit. And I want to see how far across the house I can make it, all the way back to the utility room back here and back through the kitchen, no problem. And, I'm standing outside right now, so this is pretty good reception on 25. There's some breakup. That can be expected, and not quite making it through that chair. But I got to go around. Let's try it again, guys. If you don't make it the first time, you always want to try to make it through. One more time. There we go. And they're going to go under the coffee table this time and out a really small gap. Really nice. So this quad has a super small profile, and you can take super small gaps that you wouldn't believe that this quad can make. And back under the van. I didn't hit the van one time today with this quad because it's so tiny. That's the greatest thing about 65 millimeter frames. They are unbelievably small. And the smaller a quad is, the more chances I'll take with it. Even going under the Prius out here sitting on the curb. The Prius is super low to the ground. And if you can make it under the Prius, you can just about make it under anything. It's like a mouse going under a door. Made it through. That was awesome. So a lot of fun to fly this one. There's a lot of room to grow with this one. I feel like this one could be beginner to expert. So one of my friends would have a lot of fun with this one. Whoop season slowly coming up, and whoop season is usually the fall and winter time. But this one's going to be 100% 2 thumbs up so far in this flight review, because I just really enjoy the way it feels on the sticks, the way it flies acro, and it took some hits, and there's not even close to a crack on this frame. So super durable frame too. Flies good and really durable, and it's a reliable quad. Let's go back in.
All right, guys, welcome back from the flight test. So I have a good feeling about this quad. I feel like if you guys get this one, that you will enjoy it, and it'll be a quad that you probably don't have problems with or break very often, mainly because the canopy on this one is a little more durable than what I've seen on 65 millimeter quads in the past. It does make it just a few grams heavier since they kind of beefed it up and pushed it off the back right here. So we're looking at a quad that weighs around 24 grams for a 65 millimeter whoop. Generally, when I do a custom build or something like that, I usually get it down to about 20 grams total takeoff weight. But with the battery, it's going to push you up close to 30 grams with a 1S 300 milliamps. So not bad. I like the fact that with a converter like this, again, you can fly either the BT 2.0 connector style batteries, or you can fly the PH 2.0. So a lot of diversity with your battery setup. And again, I have to recommend that that Eachine 6-in-1 charger. That's my go-to charger for all of my 1S gear, especially since I can charge out in the field or on the go. That makes it really nice. Now, as far as flight characteristics go, we have a quad that in stabilized mode is really nice and solid on the tune. I don't see any vibrations in the camera. The tune on here on the Sussex F4, 5 amp ESC all-in-one flight controller is doing extremely well. It is really nice. And the camera, I feel like the camera quality could be a little bit better, but it was a little bit overcast outside today, so it's looking like it's gonna rain. I think on a regular sunny day, this would be fun. And indoors, where there's a light on, it actually looked pretty good inside the house. So I think the camera is probably medium on par with, it's not a high-end camera, but it's not a low-end camera either. So yeah, you have somewhere in the middle with this camera. Now the VTX itself, I tried to go around the house, but I was only in 25. And normally I've made it around the house. So maybe my dipole wasn't sticking up high enough, but it did fail the around the house test. So one thing to think about there, you'll need to crank it up to 50 to be able to make it around your house. Pretty much probably anywhere you live, but the XM Plus also didn't fail me. That held up pretty well. And if I hadn't lost video, I probably would have been able to just squeeze around the house on 50. So it is nice that you do have that option with this quad. So it flies good, it's durable, it's a lightweight design, and it has an extra beefy canopy on here. The only thing I'd like to see a little bit better on this one would be maybe the camera quality, but I really like the HQ 31mm props here. These are super nice, and it looks like they have it set up to props out configuration on here. So that means the right rear is going to be turning to the left, and motor number 2 to the right, motor number 3 to the right, motor number 4 is going to be to the left. So you can check that out in Betaflight to make sure that your props are spinning the right direction. But about 5 minutes setup time in Betaflight, and I was off and flying this little quad. So I mean, for around $100, this little guy is a lot of fun. So you can check this one out in the link below, and I'll also put my top 5 favorite whoops for 2020 down there as well, so you guys can just go look at different quads and compare to the A65. But this one was a lot of fun, and I appreciate iFlight for sending this one out to me. I have a lot of new awesome reviews coming out this week for you guys, so stay tuned for some more iFlight goodness and other quads coming your way on the channel. Guys, I'm Justin Davis. Be well, stay safe. I'll see you on the next one.